Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, female 27, live with my parents. I have a job and I've been helping them by paying rent and buying groceries. My brother is married and has 2 children, a 2-year-old and a newborn. He has recently lost his job and asked my parents if he can move back in until he's back on his feet. My parents told me that I need to move out of the basement suite in the house and into my mom's hobby room while my brother and his family stay with them. I did not agree, and they said it was their house and their rules. I don't really own a lot of stuff. Everything in the suite belongs to them. I don't even own my bed. I packed up my clothes and my laptop and went to work like usual. I work out of town for 14 days, then I get 7 days off. While I was at work, I booked an all-inclusive for my week off. It cost me less than rent and food at my parents' house. I told my parents my plans, and they were cool with it. I started getting texts a few days ago asking where my rent and grocery money was. I said that I moved out, that if I wasn't living there and eating there, I wasn't going to be giving them money. They got really upset because they were counting on the money to help support my brother. They said that I moved out without giving notice. I said that they literally gave away my living space and that I didn't owe them anything if I wasn't there. I asked them how much they were charging my brother. I was giving them $1,800 a month, Canadian money, for rent and food, and I was only home a maximum of 14 days a month, usually less. My brother called me to say I was a jerk for not helping him out. I pointed out that he hadn't sent our parents money when he was employed. He said that he had a family to support, so he needed his money. He said if I came back, he and his family would move upstairs, and I could have my space back. I had actually done the math, though. I can stay at all-inclusives, which cover my room, maid service, food, alcohol, and entertainment, for 2/3 of what I was paying my folks. And I don't have to live through Edmonton winters when I'm not working. I sent my parents $500 to help them with groceries. Then I went to the beach. My parents, my brother, his wife, and a fair few of my other relatives are saying that I'm an a-hole for abandoning them on a time of need. I think if I'm not there, I shouldn't have to pay anything. Am I the a-hole? Well, OP definitely should not be paying if she's not living there and not eating there. The audacity of them functionally evicting OP and then expecting her to pay rent. Also, it's not OP's duty to support her brother's family. So well done for OP for refusing to pay. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Sushi Guac DNA says, not the a-hole. As you say, you were renting a space and they threw you out. In addition, it sounds like they were overcharging for the space, given that you found a space you like better for less money. Now, there's nothing wrong with helping your parents, so I wouldn't necessarily say your old rent was a problem. But it's crazy they would kick you out and expect the rent and grocery money to remain unchanged. I can't tell if your parents are a-holes or just oblivious. You make an excellent point about how your brother wasn't sending your parents money when he was employed. That makes it doubly clear that your payment was for rent and food, not just because. Honestly, I think it's healthier for you to be on your own anyway. It's natural for children to become more independent as they mature. I want waffle fries says, your parents made you pay $1,800 for a room in Edmonton? And you were only there for 2 weeks? Your family is taking advantage of you. You also gave them $500. Don't feel bad for leaving and don't look back. Marion Dre says, not the a-hole. Tell me you're the scapegoat without telling me you're the scapegoat. There was no communication, no family meeting, no decision together. They decided unilaterally to evict you from the space you were living in to support your brother without any conversation and expected you to just take it. It would have been one thing if you were a part of the decision, but you weren't. You should really take the savings you're getting from not living there and invest it, so you can buy your own house someday when you're tired of being transient. In the meantime, keep living the good life. So, this drama revolves around my brother's fiancée, Sarah. Sarah's dramatic and gossipy. It always has to be something with her. She's always talking about someone else in a negative light behind their backs, and I cannot stand it, to tell you the truth. However, I put it aside because she is my future sister-in-law, and I just want to keep the peace. I and my sisters always have a girls' night out once a month. When my other brother married his wife Angie, we started to invite her out with us as well because we all liked her. When Sarah learned about these nights, she asked to join us once she was engaged, and we agreed even though most of us don't like her. Sarah has never liked Angie, which has always made the nights harder to deal with because Sarah will just ignore her. Angie is an angel and puts up with it though. Last week, Angie was sick and missed the night. Sarah took it as an opportunity to trash talk her all night. Angie does not have a college degree and only has her GED, and Sarah would not shut up about how much of a moron she was all night. Sarah has her master's in biology, and intelligence is one of her favorite things to insult people on. Well, after I got a bit drunk, I had enough of it. Angie is one of the sweetest people I have met, and she has never once said a bad thing about Sarah. After Sarah finished one of her insults about Angie being the farthest from traditionally intelligent, I said, "Is the reason you're insulting Angie here like a coward because she's traditionally beautiful, and you're the furthest from it?" Sarah is about 300 pounds, and by all regards, quite ugly. This is a massive trigger point for her as well, and I know she has emotional issues surrounding her weight. We got into a fight, and I ended up tearing her appearance apart point by point until she was visibly near tears. In the end, I told her I'm only doing exactly what she does when she gossips about people. I only talked about her like she talks about others, just to her face, unlike her. The night was pretty much ruined by this point, and we all just went home separately. Well, now all hell is broken loose. Sarah is demanding an apology, and I will not give it to her. My sisters agree that what I said is directly in line with what Sarah says about others, but disagree with me, and said I should not have lowered myself to her level. Last night I got a call from my brother, and now Sarah is threatening to postpone their marriage if I don't apologize, which in my opinion says more about her than anything I could have said. But I actually feel bad now that I've had time to think about it. I don't think OP is in the wrong here. She trashed OP's friend, and OP stuck up for her. Sarah sounds extremely emotionally immature to demand that, and also to threaten to postpone the wedding. OP's brother is in for a marriage from hell if she'd do that just to be spiteful. It's controlling and narcissistic. If he hasn't got kids with this woman, I'd urge OP to get her brother to see her for what she is and not marry her. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Are you that daft, says? Everyone sucks here. Don't apologize. She got what she deserved. However, you guys should have called her out immediately after she started trashing Angie. Tell your brother that you are not going to apologize for treating her the way she treats others. You also should have told her that you guys didn't want to hang out with her when she first asked. Miss Meg says, not the a-hole. Sarah's insecurities are on her. If others agree you used her same degree of snark, just against her, you aren't the a-hole. I wouldn't give in to these demands for an apology, and when people ask, I would tell them why in great detail. Sarah is an a-hole. Fluffy Shelter says, not the a-hole. She needs to grow up. Your brother needs to open his eyes. My sister recently got married, and my wife offered to make their cake. My wife loves making fancy, elaborate cakes. Another thing about my wife is she hates cake smashing at weddings. She despises it, and told me during our own engagement that if I did it, she would walk out and annul the marriage. I didn't even think she was kidding. So the day of, when she showed my sister the cake, she made a joke about how they better not smash it. To be fair, I couldn't tell that she was serious, and also, I don't think it is any of her business what they do with the cake once it is gifted to them. During the cake cutting, they did smear it, but to be very clear, they in no way ruined the cake. They only smeared the small amount that they cut to feed each other, and it was a large cake, 100-guest wedding. The cake was served, everyone loved it, but my wife was upset about the smearing. She told me that they didn't have the right to do that because it was her cake, and she didn't want them doing something so trashy and disrespectful. She told me she probably wasn't going to be able to hold her tongue when she saw them later, and I told her that I thought she was being ridiculous. Once she gifted it to them, it was theirs. Well, then she said something in front of my mother, which upset me, because 1, that is her daughter she was insulting. 2, my mom and wife don't get along at all. My mom responded that it isn't funny that we're the only ones who didn't smear our wedding cake, and we have the worst marriage. That hurt a lot, because it is true, and something we're working on. I glared at my mom and led my wife off. I could see she was upset, and she said that my sister is a B, just like our mom. I finally got annoyed and told her that she was creating drama over nothing. It was my sister's cake, and that while my mom was crotchety, I wasn't going to say anything because she never should have started drama with my mom. My wife was furious with me and very cold to my sister when she said goodbye and tried to thank her for the cake. Well, in my opinion, it is a complete overreaction. I'm guessing Mom is right, and it is more about the state of OP's marriage than someone smearing a bit of cake. Lila says, not the a-hole. Your wife, 1, offered to make the cake. They didn't ask her. 2, told them the rules when she delivered it. Too late to get another cake. 3, got mixed up in something that is none of her business. 4, made a negative comment during the wedding to the mom of the bride. 5, made a comment when you said she shouldn't. Edit. And it's your family's event. She should let you handle it. 6, made the comment while she had a bad relationship with your mom, making it worse. 7, called your mom and sister names. 8, continued to be entitled and cold throughout the wedding. She is a major a-hole. You say that you don't have the best marriage. Are you seeing a couples therapist? Coldstream Capel says, not the a-hole, but you've got bigger problems than a cake. Livin' Like Riley says, not the a-hole. Your wife creates unnecessary discord in her life. She wastes her energy on things she cannot control and, frankly, has nothing to do with her. This world is filled with people who think they have a say over what people do with their bodies, homes, thoughts, and words. It is ridiculous, childish, egotistical, and trying to exert dominance and control, when in fact, those same people need to look in the mirror and their own lives, and mend their own lives' problems. People like your wife are taxing and will be ignored. We were high school sweethearts and met at 14. We dated for 6 years before getting married, and it was clear that he's always been extremely close with his mother. She's always been trying to convince him that we shouldn't be together. Even when we were teens, she was trying to break us up. When we first announced our engagement, she freaked out. She told him, "You won't have a future with her. You're too young. You don't know what you're doing." She even told him he can do better than me. So the wedding reception came, and it was a small family affair at my older sister's house, since she has the yard space for our families to come. She never even came by to help us set up. It was mostly just my family and me. The entire reception was more like a party. It wasn't a traditional walk-down-the-aisle wedding, but our most important family and friends were in attendance. The entire night, my soon-to-be husband sat at a table with his mom. I let it go because I didn't want to have a fight at our wedding. We still did traditional things like sharing vows, taking pictures, cutting the cake, etc. But besides those moments, it was like I barely saw him. When it came time to cut the cake, he took the first slice over to his mother. I was upset because the first slice should go to the people actually getting married. But again, I let it slide. I spent my wedding at a table with my best friend and my 14-year-old brother-in-law. That night after the reception, we got into it because he didn't help once with the wedding, and for all the reasons above. And just when we were getting home, he tosses the cake in the fridge without covering it or anything. Here's where I may be an a-hole, because I started asking him to wrap the cake, and we got into a huge fight about if it was fine or not. I just felt done with the whole day, went into our room and locked the door. I was so mad I eventually ended up falling asleep, and he slept on the couch on our wedding night. I didn't mean to fall asleep. I just wanted some space for a bit. We've been fighting on and off since, and his mother has called me a bridezilla more than once, so I'm starting to doubt myself. Am I the a-hole here for not allowing my new husband into our bedroom on our wedding night? Our Girl 4 says, not the a-hole, annulment. He's already married to his mother. Green Seraphima says, this isn't everyone sucks here for me. You married a mama's boy at 20 years old. That was your choice. He showed you that he still had a lot of growing up to do, and you still married him anyway. What did you expect would happen? Bionic RC says, not the a-hole, but you made a crucial mistake here. A mistake I feel like a lot of people make when getting married. Marriage doesn't make an okay relationship better. Marriage doesn't magically change people for the better. Marriage is just a set of vows and a piece of paper. By marrying someone, you are saying you accept who they are as the person you've known them to be, and you choose to be with them that way. You married a man you knew didn't stand up to his mother for you. This is your life now. You can try counseling, but if he doesn't want to change, he won't. You have to really have some introspection and come to terms if you can deal with this for the rest of your life. If he makes you happy enough to let this stuff slide, then great. If he doesn't, well, you have some thinking to do. My sister has a 5-year-old girl with my friend. We were all at high school when she got pregnant. At the time, they had been dating for just over a month. They broke up shortly after getting into a huge argument. Still, he brought his parents to our house and they told us they'll support my sister, whatever her decision, and that their son wants to be involved if she decides to keep it. My sister is now engaged to a different guy. 3 days ago, she informed me that she was going to spend a 2-week vacation in France with her fiancé and daughter, and asked if I would take a document to my friend to sign, allowing my niece to travel internationally. In my country, you can't travel with your kid internationally without the other parent approval, which he signed with no problem. The next day, I was talking with my mom, and she let it slip after mentioning something about schools in France that my sister was intending to move there permanently. It turned out the whole family knew about this except for me and my niece. They kept begging me not to tell him, but still couldn't manage to give any reasonable answers on why. To get them to stop, I promised them that I won't tell him anything. Of course, there was no way in hell that I wasn't going to tell him, because even though he doesn't have a good relationship with my sister, he is a good guy and a great dad to my niece, and she loves him more than anything in the world. When I told him, he went straight to the police and called me afterwards because they wanted to take my statement. A few hours later, his lawyer filed an emergency motion with the court to annul the document. Yesterday morning, my sister came to the house screaming at me and calling me all sorts of names. Apparently, the police came to her place, bringing a court order, and informed her that she didn't take my niece out of the country, and in case she tried, she'll be stopped by the authorities at the airport. At that moment, I've become the family's #1 enemy. My older brother and other sisters said that they were disappointed at me for breaking my promise and putting an outsider over family. My parents were so furious, and after a lot of insults, told me to pack my crap and leave. The only person who tried to calm things was my aunt, but she quickly stopped after seeing how angry everyone was. Sarcasm is Life 28 says, "Not the a-hole. If you hadn't said something, you would be complicit in her illegal act. No thanks." Colorado Grown 85 says, "OP, not the a-hole. You did the right thing. The fact that what your family was doing is not only illegal, but also immoral, escapes notice of the others in your family, astounds me. You didn't mention your age, but if you are of age, move out. If you are not, contact the authorities on your parents as well, and make an exit plan. I'm ashamed of your family for you." Chickpea Enthusiast says, "Not the a-hole. You didn't put an outsider above the family. You prioritized your niece here. She was being ripped away from a loving parent. Also, her mother was going to become a criminal from this act. You prevented that from happening.